The Arizona podcast is brought to you by Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self-leveling underlays. They service all of California, and they are an awesome company. They speak Spanish, and they do amazing work. Check them out at Triumph_coatings on Instagram. And if you use the promo code ArrowsUp, you get 10% off. So check them out. As a podcast, we have David, we have Victor. We're talking Dune. So, spoiler alert, Dune 2 is what we're going to talk about. So, if you haven't seen it, you don't want to get it spoiled. Although it's not huge spoilers. I think you're fine. Honestly, I think you're fine. But if you're one of those like psychos that doesn't want any part of the movie spoiled, then yeah, I guess spoiler alert. And that's your warning. And we start at the top with the Canelo news. He announced he's fighting Munguia. I told David I was possibly back on the Anthony Joshua train, so he asked me about that. And Mookie Betts is playing shortstop for the Dodgers. So if the Mookie trade couldn't get worse, and it gets worse every year, I asked Victor, who's a diehard Dodger fan, about that. So that's the pod. Here are Victor and David. Here we go.
What do you want to start with?
This is your party. I'm just
Oh,
here.
good. Yeah, okay.
I'm just
good.
here. Yeah.
Good. Dude, okay, because I got some questions for you, Germ. Like, this is like... Also, just to start, for the listeners, warning,
Spoiler
this
alert.
will be a spoiler-filled Dune Part 2. Hey, I said what I said. So if you haven't seen it, pause this, stop, go watch the movie.
I'm guessing do part 1, right? I'm guessing you guys are going to step on that, kind of?
No, yeah. Everything from the first book, because
Gotcha.
it's split into two movies, but yeah, everything from book 1. So,
All right, you've been warned.
That's it. So, but first, before that, like, dude, Jern, you've been ruffling feathers in the Escamilla household with the possibility of, like renewing your membership to the AJ fan club. I don't know. I'm just. My dad was like, what's wrong with him? I'm like, he's joking. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just.
You guys are like Cat, like your allegiance to losers is unlike you.
Dude. Yeah. My dad was like, he was triggered when he saw the fight. He's like, why is this guy boxing again or trying to box? And I'm like, dude, you watched this guy fight Joshua a while ago, or Fury a while ago.
Right.
So
he was talking about Ngannou, right? Why
yeah,
is he still
Ngannou. He's like,
boxing?
why is this guy? He's like, who told him he could box? Like, and I'm like, hold on, you've seen him fight before, like in boxing and MMA. So I'm like, come on, bro. I'm like,
yeah.
But then earlier today, I mentioned, I was like, hey, German said he would hop on that wagon. Like, if the cards are right, and he was like, what? He was like, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Listen, as a Christian man, I was raised to forgive, to show grace. The Bible talks about Peter. He denies the Lord 3 times and he gets brought back into the fold. I'm a man of forgiveness. I'm a man of grace. But
you're a man of second chances.
Yeah, second, third, fourth, fifth.
7 times 7, right? Or whatever. Yeah. Yes.
Listen, all I said is this. I am out on Joshua in terms of him being the guy. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But like I told you over text, I'm like outside the door. I'm outside the door, and if he fights Wilder, I'm in.
Dude, you're the
Not from the standpoint of he's my guy, like it used to be, but just I'm gonna be rooting for Joshua from
oh
that
yeah, okay.
standpoint.
Okay, yeah.
Like I'm not saying he's my guy again. Like he's gonna beat everybody. He's my
Yeah,
champion.
you're not dying on that hill anymore. You're
It's
gonna look at that hill from far away and be like, I'll watch. Like,
no, well, it's I'm on that hill, but I'm on like the outskirts. I'm on the like, you know what? I hope this hill succeeds.
you're at
But
the
if it
bottom of the slope looking up. You're like,
Yeah, but if it doesn't, I have a helicopter that takes me to another hill. I'm not dying on this hill,
right,
but and that's all I mean
okay,
by that. Like
okay,
I like Joshua. I didn't like the way he handled certain things. I didn't like the way he portrayed himself after the Usyk fights. I just didn't like that. So I was out because I thought he was now going to enter this stage of cashing checks and doing all that. And once he beat Ngannou, the way he beat him, because former like older Joshua would have like gotten in trouble, would have made it too weird, and it would have been like, bro, you're the professional boxer. Why are you struggling with him? Um, but he took care of business, took him out, did what he had to do. My question is, why isn't Fury getting more crap for, like, in some people's eyes, losing to Ngannou? That's my question. Like, it's one thing to, because I saw this on Twitter where people were like, oh, well, Joshua beat up a MMA guy. Good for him. It's like, whoa, hold on. When Fury was struggling to beat this guy, all of a sudden, oh, look at Ngannou. He's a world class athlete. Joe Rogan is talking about how he thought he beat him, but AJ does this, and it's like, oh well, AJ just of course he beat him. It's like, well, which one is it? You can't have it both ways. So that's let's be equal in this. And if Joshua fights Wilder, which would be a hell of a fight, I would want my guy to win. And if he were to fight Fury or Usyk, I would be rooting for Joshua. That's all I'm saying. I'm on the island. I never left the island. I was just
no,
upset.
hold up,
I
dude.
went I went on a little boat trip around the island, but I never permanently left.
Dang.
I
Okay,
never permanently. It was never. I was tired. I was upset. I'm allowed to be upset.
dude. I don't know, bro. I have a feeling if we were to pull up some old pods, you'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I
he's fighting
was.
this weekend. Like, who cares? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, because of who he was fighting, for sure.
dude.
I look, in full disclosure, I didn't pay for the Joshua Ngannou fight, so it's not like I was like all in Team
No, yeah,
AJ. And all I said is, if he fights Wilder, I'm in. Because if he fights Wilder, this tells us that he's, you know, at least in some capacity, willing to get back in the ring with the best. Is that fair or not fair?
oh, sure. Yeah.
No? If he fights
I said
Wilder,
sure.
well, the way you give it to, like, yeah, sure, like, yes or no. Yeah, like, right. If he fights
Yeah.
Wilder, all I'm saying, if he fights Wilder, it's a hell of a lot better than Canelo fighting Munguia and forcing us to get excited for that.
No, you're right. You're right.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
that's all I meant. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. But you brought up Canelo too, dude. I like
What?
it. Okay, so like, okay, great, you announced the fight. And you saw my tweet where it's like, bro, you really dropped like a movie trailer before even dropping a. I'm like,
Right, right.
come on, bro. Like, so that looked like a bad taste in my mouth. And then it's Mungia, and which is like, okay, sure, like, yeah, like, not a terrible opponent, right? It could be worse.
Yeah, it's a terrible opponent.
No, I mean, like, it's not like a like he's gonna win, but it's not like a Yildirim. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's not. It's not like we have to be fair. We have to be fair. It's not Benavides, so I don't really.
No, I'm still disappointed.
Like to me, this is like you. I don't. I'm not gonna say Canelo ducked him because there's a lot of business that we don't know about. But you can't expect me to get hyped for Munguia. This is bad luck. This is like.
Oh, it is.
This is I think the only reason why it's not awful is because Munguia is coming off a good performance. But I think if you remove the hype of Munguia coming off of the big win he had, I think this is a bad this is bad. This is like indefensible. If you're like a Canelo hater, this is like if Harry gets on and he gets crazy and he's
right.
like, oh, okay,
for sure. Yeah.
I have nothing to say. I'm like, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. So anyway, keep going.
No, but I'm just like, it's gonna look even worse now too. This is what I was getting at because I agree with you.
Okay.
Because if you wind back the clock, like Canelo has this whole "I'll never fight another Mexican" thing. And now it's looking like Canelo is running into that excuse saying, well, technically he is a Mexican, right? So it's like, meaning, oh, like he's just like pushing the Benavides thing like down the road and saying, look, I'm fighting a Mexican. I said I wouldn't, and I'm going to do it. And it's like, and it's only happens to Munguia. So it's kind of like a cop out. So it's just like, dude. And that's the angle they're going to go for. Because like in his post, it was like, Viva Mexico, like they posted the part of the Mexican national anthem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, if that's the angle you're gonna take, it's just like it's like you said, like, I have no way to defend it. I'm just like, bro, like what? That's the conclusion you guys came to after making us wait this long. And like
and the weird part is it's a PVC pay-per-view. Yeah. So it's like it's not even like. And he left PBC and said, you know what, we couldn't make it work with those guys. They don't know what they're going to do. So it's going to be tough to make a fight happen over there. Munguia doesn't want to fight outside of PBC. Then it's like, okay, well, the politics of boxing kept this fight from happening. We hate it, but we've seen it happen before. There's something Canelo could do about that. But you're fighting on PBC pay-per-view. On Amazon Prime, like, what the hell does that like? What do you mean? Like, how does that even work? So, yeah, as you can see, I didn't repost or share the fight announcement, because it's just like I wanted to see Benavides, and unless there is like a legitimate reason as to why that didn't happen, I just won't understand. Even if you fight him in September, like I just don't know what the point of. Like you could fight Munguia in September. Like I don't know. Like who is this for? Who besides Golden Boy and Munguia? Who is this fight for? It's not for Mexico, because Mexicans were clamoring for you to fight Benavides. It's not for boxing, because boxing wants you to fight Crawford more so than they want you to fight Benavides. Like, who is this for? And I think that's what, if you're going to claim that you are for the fans, that you want to do everything to please the fans, then what fans is this one for? and that's just and that's where I'm at with that. Like you can try to spin it. I don't fight Mexicans, which is stupid because
Yeah,
he does. Like I don't like whoever says
yeah,
that. Like you just haven't watched boxing enough. So that's a weird angle to want to prove. Oh, I do fight Mexicans. Like who the hell cares? Um. So I don't get it. I don't understand.
yeah.
But go Canelo, Cinco de Mayo, I guess.
Yeah, this is one of those like times where like it's gonna be tough. Like, bro, if I meet like someone in person and there's like Canelo slander, I'm gonna be like, I mean,
Well, because how do you defend it? Like,
yeah, it's just
how, unless like the negotiations get leaked and we find that Benavides wanted like 50-50, then it's like, okay, well, this guy priced himself out. But besides that, I don't know what would come out that would make us say like, okay, that makes sense why he didn't fight Benavides.
yeah. Ward still pissed me off though. I was like, dude, please stop. Like,
I mean, that's on you though. Like, why are you listening to Ward?
no, but still, because it's like, okay, people were like, the comments were like, dude, like you trained Plant to beat this guy. Like you were in there with like you were in the shop. So it's like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna say that there's like the part okay, the Benavides stuff, like you said, like I agree. But he was like, there's a whole list of guys he hasn't fought. And I'm like, who? Like name more than like three. Like what? Like
Yeah.
so I was just like, dude, he was pushing that narrative that like I don't know if you saw this a couple years ago, but like they were interviewing Boo Boo like ringside, and he was like, yeah, Canelo's a great fighter, and he said they've done a great job, like they powers that be, like they've
Right,
done a
right,
great
right.
job setting him up, like for, and like that's what Warzone. And I'm like, dude, like I'm like you, yeah. And he brought up Triple G, and I'm like, he fought him 3 times. I don't know what else he's supposed to. You fought Kolev twice, and both fights were controversial. Like you hit him in the nuts, like it looked like one time. So it's just like I don't understand like where you get off saying that. Like if and then you retired at 32. Like so
Well, I think Andre Ward's beef is if there is no Canelo, or if he can discredit Canelo, he can be the guy after Mayweather and Pacquiao left.
yeah.
And because as of now, it's Canelo.
Yeah.
And if he could discredit him somehow, then he's able to take that spot. So that makes sense. That makes sense why he's like always been a hater or
A
a big
hater.
critic of Canelo. That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's just like, and they asked him, they're like, "Who are the guys?" And he was like, "I don't want to go." And it's like, "Oh, then that's the card you're gonna pull."
Right. Because there's no
Analyze, bro.
names. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like list some names in. I was like, then we can have a discussion about, and it was just
Yeah.
like,
But this is
and
Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley are clowns when it comes to talking boxing.
yeah,
It's just straight clowns. I just so and Mannix. Mannix is
oh,
another one.
Chris
So
Mannix. Oh, dude, that guy, yeah, dude. So that's all I have to say about that. But
all right.
anyway, okay, we got our guy Victor here, and
Yeah, I'm
I'm
just
not
saying
gonna
out.
lie, Victor, like he got the ball rolling on my Dune Part Two.
Wait, hold on. Victor, how do you feel about Mookie, shortstop?
Oh,
Is he
I
playing
think it
there
works.
the whole season?
Well, they're saying for now. I think. I mean, he's a good infielder over. I mean, the guy's just an athlete, dude. I mean, you can put him on the hot corner; he'll be just fine. Honestly, everybody. I mean, we all know how good of a multi-sport athlete the guy is. I mean, the guy. I think he's thrown a chunk of perfect games in bowling for God's sake. And the guy could dunk, and the guy,
Yeah, I was
not
thinking
that tall. He's got some spring in his hop. But I think it's gonna work. I mean, second base.
They're going to move Gavin Lux, right?
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I've been looking at Dodger spring training a little bit. I haven't had a chance to look into it as much as I'd like. But noticing the left side of the infield is very weak.
Right.
In particular, I think Max Muncy, he's in a position right now where he's really trying to sharpen himself as a third baseman, because there's really no other position for him in that team. Can't be DH, obviously.
Right.
Show his spot. It's like, where else are you going to put a guy like Muncy? I mean, we have Freddie Freeman in first, and it's the reason why we didn't as good as he was. Why JD Martinez didn't come back.
Right.
I mean, where else can you put these guys? So again, left side of the infield is a bit of a concern. Hopefully Mookie helps kind of. I've seen people get a little bit antsy on that, and I've been watching videos. I'm like, I think people have right. It cause for concern. Obviously, I think. I mean, as well as anybody that spring training, you're looking to kind of shake off the rust a little bit,
right?
And I hope that's going to be the case with Gavin Lux. I know he's like a year removed from playing. What happened to him last year just absolutely sucks. It absolutely sucked. Tearing your ACL, I think, if I recall correctly, I think he was sliding into third base and just blew up his knee.
Yeah,
and that's just brutal. And you're in a position, you're playing shortstop. You got to put your legs into those throws, man.
Yeah,
you got to be active. You got to move around. And he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't able to be himself for that long of a time. I'm really hoping it's just rust that's just shaking off on him, because I think overall he's a good player, and I think his bat's going to make up for any defensive inefficacy that he might be dealing with at first.
Yeah.
But I think Mookie, for me though, I like the move, and the only reason why I say that is because the guy could play like almost any position.
Yeah.
The guy's just that good. So like, why not? I mean, they were rotating him between outfield and infield last year, and he made some pretty darn good plays. So I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work out. But yeah, the left side of the infield has to get taken care of with the Dodgers. Lux has to step back into it. I mean, I know it's what happened is tough, but you're a professional athlete, and you're amongst the world's best doctors when it comes to rehabbing those kinds of things.
Yeah.
You're in the best programs. You're in the best position possible to come back from something like that, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm pretty sure he's going to pull it off, because Lux is a good player in on himself.
Right.
That's why I kind of was also bummed out about although I understood it, the Dodgers trading away on Michael Busch, because that guy, he's been swinging a hot bat in AAA for like the past 2-3 years already. It's just there's just no way we could bring the guy up. We couldn't figure.
There's no space. Yeah,
there's no space. So it's a good problem to have. But it bummed me out because
poor you guys. Poor you guys. You have
poor us, right?
Such a great roster that you don't know where to put these guys.
When he had his call-ups, the guy showed off. The guy showed that he belongs in the big leagues. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got traded to Chicago, and I think the guy's gonna be a stud, man. He looks pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But again, I think it's Mookie. I think I don't speak for every single fan out there, Dodger fan or not, but I think ask anybody that's outside, that's a fan of a different organization, they'll tell you, Mookie's going to be fine in that position.
Yeah, he's the Mookie trade just gets worse year by year.
No, it's pretty tough on you guys, man.
I saw he was playing shortstop. But I'm like, of course he is. Of course, I mean, why? Because why wouldn't he?
Why
one of the
wouldn't
greatest athletes of this generation,
you? Because,
and we gave him away for guys that are no longer on the roster. So anytime you could do that, you have to. You have to do that.
When that happened, I was like, again, like most people, they're like, "What are you doing, trading that guy away, bro? Not even if they offered you their field, do you trade a guy like that away? It's a generational talent. You extend him and you keep him forever, no matter what it's going to cost you." The guy definitely played himself into what should have been, what should have been Boston's largest, offering, as things come to in regards to an extension. I mean, the guy absolutely earned his right to stay in Boston. I mean, he brought a World Series coming from a team that at that year in 2018 was the best team in the league. And in baseball, just because you have the best record in the league does not mean absolutely anything.
And that's why that 2018 team is so special.
It's insanely special. And best
from
team in the
beginning to end.
They just absolutely they just ripped everybody a new one that year, man. So it's like
that's when we were a rich organization, That's when we had money to spend.
I don't know if LeBron's siphoning off of your guys' money or you guys are pumping too much into Liverpool. I don't know what's going on.
We got to pay for Bronny's education at USC.
I just don't understand why you guys were so inactive during this offseason, man. It was a brutal one for you guys, man. And then I think it was Giolito going down.
Oh my God.
Partial UCL tear. I'm like, bro, I think they had. I think Cora committed some voodoo to get his 2018 championship in exchange for these years of misery.
The curse of Mookie Betts.
Yeah, man.
It was the curse of
brutal, man. That's
Babe Ruth. Now the curse of Mookie.
First, you guys didn't win a World Series until like the early 2000s, and now you guys got Mookie. You're gonna have the Mookie monster just haunting you guys now. It's brutal. I mean, like I don't. I've got my own teams to hate on. I do not hate Red Sox at all. They've always been that team that whenever they got into the playoffs, they just made a whole bunch of noise.
Yeah.
And I think as much personally, myself, I'm a Laker fan. Naturally, I find Boston repulsive.
Right.
But I mean, despite that, I'm pretty sure if you're part of any team over there in the New England area, I don't think there's many places in the world that can compare to Boston in winning a championship.
Right.
That's one thing I'll give the city. It's a city of champions,
Yeah.
Yeah. All of their franchises for all of their professional sports they're in contention for something every single year, dude.
Which is nuts.
The thing about Boston, I mean, the Bruins are a really good hockey team. The Celtics right now, obviously, are finally playing good ball.
Yeah.
But right now, the team that looks to be cursed are the Portland Red Sox, and obviously, with Belichick and Brady out of the Patriots style, the Patriots, are nowhere near where they were during Brady's, prime years during the middle of that dynasty. So, I just don't. Up until now, man, I still don't understand why they made the move that they did. Obviously, I'm thinking my lucky stars for it. Because we have a guy like that. We have a guy that anybody else would take, obviously.
In a heartbeat, yeah.
In a heartbeat, of course. But we'll see how he does. I think he's going to be just fine, though. I don't think there's no period of adjustment or anything for the guy. The guy's just going to hit the ground running. He's that good. And then, and it always helps when you're throwing to a guy like Freddie Freeman, too, which in his own right, as everybody, I think, points out how professional of a hitter he is. He's batting over 300 every single year, which is in a pitcher's league. Gosh, that's difficult. You don't see a lot of 300 plus hitters anymore like you used to. But the guy's a stud defensively, man.
Yeah,
he is as good as first baseman as you're ever going to have. So again, it helps when you're throwing to a guy like that. You make a little bit of an errant throw, and throwing to Freeman kind of makes up for anything
anything in the area.
Yeah, man, the guy's
getting it.
The guy's great, man. And it looks like his game isn't slowing down.
Right.
That's all. That's always that's always a good thing.
Mhm.
It's always a good thing to see. Now, if they could play the same game, when the playoffs come around, that'd be great. But you already know, even if you have the best record in the league, it means absolutely nothing because postseason is basically a brand new start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I'm going to be over there at opening day.
Nice.
I think it's going to be a fun season for a whole bunch of reasons. And I think just Mookie being in that position permanently for the time being, maybe they're waiting for other things to get sorted out. But while that happens, it's going to be fun watching him, run around the infield, make Gold Glove plays,
right?
But in the infield instead of right field, where where everybody's used to seeing him make plays. But I think also, it's not just Mookie in the right field. I know the Padres moving to Tatis Jr. in the right field. That guy's a stud out there, man.
Yeah,
he went from shortstop to right field.
Yeah,
now he's winning Gold Gloves in the right field. That guy's another one of those freak athletes.
Special athletes, yeah.
God, they're insane. But again, I'm excited. It's good. Again, it's gonna be a fun season. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what Mookie does in the infield. Watching the short guy just run around and just make it look easy. Ain't nothing easy, but they make it look easy, man.
Super easy.
Oh yeah.
So Dune. All right. So Dune.
Good old
2.
Dune.
Let's get into Dune.
Dune. Victor, I was gonna say Victor single-handedly tweeted so much about the movie, and I
did. I thought it was that special, man.
Dude. And it rubbed off on me because I started liking his stuff, and then the algorithm recognized that and just fed me everything.
That's what the algorithms do. The magic and the power of the Twitter algorithm.
Right now, it's doing the Akira Toriyama thing,
Oh my
God! Rest in peace to him. But for like a week there, it was like, dude, the Doom, like just nothing but
all Doom. It's a movie that was that people were just waiting hand and foot for, especially because of the way that the first one went down. And the first one, biggest complaint I heard was that there wasn't, a lot of people thought that there was going to be a lot more movement in the first film. It wasn't like that. It had a very slow crescendo, one little epic battle scene, and that was kind of it. It was more of a storytelling. It was a story introducing the characters, because we know how Dune itself is kind of a drawn out series. It's like 6 books, if I remember as a kid. Talking about back in the 60s. So, and I think to appropriately adapt it to film, I think you need like 10 films, which is something that I don't think is gonna happen at all. So you kind of have to, I mean, Dennis is just like any other producer's job when you're adapting a book, even if it's just one book. When you're adapting it to film, you have to kind of pick and choose what you're going to leave out and what you're going to be faithful to. In my mind, having read the books, and when I found out that I think Legendary had gotten the rights to Dune, and that Dennis Villeneuve was gonna take care of things. My mind, I was like, there's no way they just do one. It's gonna be
how many of the books have you read?
I've read like all 6 of them, dude.
I read them as a kid. So you're like, you read Dune before part 1. I'm assuming like you like.
Oh yeah, no, when I was a kid. They're a great series of books. I personally, on any one series of books that I read, I never really nerded out on per se, but it's fun watching these things come to life, these things that I read when I was a kid, and watching them come to life when the production quality is what it is today.
Right.
You go back to Star Wars, and in its time, the most amazing films you were ever going to see. Storyline, everything, 100%. But I like to think to myself, it's like, hey, what if I got episode 6 with the current production quality right now?
Right.
Be given the ability to film, an epic sci-fi thriller like this in IMAX 70 millimeter, and just put it out on the biggest screen you can find with the most epic sound system, and combine, just come up with one of the most epic films that you'll ever that you'll ever probably see. So on my end, having read the books, I wasn't obsessed with it. I love the story as a kid, growing up. But again, I just go back to the reason why I'm a lot more into this, because again, I read these things and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm almost 30, I'm 28 right now. And I'm seeing this come to life at the quality, at the production quality that we have right now. And, for me, it's like, oh man, this is, first off, I think one of the biggest challenges when it comes to this book or this series is kind of trying to visualize it. And I say that because like 90% of this whole series is like inner monologue.
Right, for sure.
That's what it is. It's inner monologue, and in my mind, I'm like, how can you put that into film?
Yeah.
Whereas you see other epic series written like in the third person from an outside perspective, with monologue, obviously, and you in your head you could picture it. You could picture these things. You could picture a sequential set of images from a book, but not like Dune. Because again, I go back to the heavy, the overwhelming amount of inner inner monologue that you have in the series. So being able to see something like that, come to the big screen, and it's not one of those movies where like you have to read the book to watch it. You can watch you can watch the films and you could catch on. Even though I think also one I did hear, and completely understandably so, that one of the things that kind of put people off, especially in the first movie, was that there was a lot going on, and it's 100% true. There's so much going on between a couple of houses. It's not like you see Game of Thrones. You're talking about multiple houses, and you have something that stretches out, for 7-8 seasons. Whereas on a movie, I mean, how long do you have until people start to kind of get lost? I mean, if anything, you have like 2 hours before people really start to like, where's this movie going? So I completely understand where people were saying that they felt like, it was just a little bit too drawn out. There was too many things going on, between the multiple houses, to where, it's like, it's kind of starting to put me off. I need some action or something to like invest myself into this film. And it felt like that on the first movie. So I'm like, no, I completely understand where people are coming from. 100%. But I think from the first Dune to the second, to this one, it made the slowness of the first movie just absolutely vanish. Like, because again, I go part one, not really having that epic crescendo. You have it, I think, a little bit more towards the end, but it wasn't. Right. It didn't hit as hard for what you saw, before you made it towards the end of the first movie. Um, again, the pacing, but again, I remind the pacing, but some people feel like it was a snooze fest. Like, bro, I was struggling to keep up with the story.
Right.
There was a lot of movement, a lot of action, but again, Dune 2 just absolutely eliminates all of that. On our end, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it's one of the movies like you need to absolutely watch because it's like it's something where like as a moviegoer, you're paying for your seat, your whole seat, something you're gonna have a complete bottom on. But this movie is like you literally just need the edge of your seat. That's how the movie had me. It had everybody around me. I went with friends to go watch it, and we were like on our edges. We were just like, captivated by the visuals. The quality of the filming was just insane. I think again the score. We go to the musical elements. The score was just absolutely incredibly done. I mean, Hans Zimmer has to go down as one of the better score composers that that are out there easily. You have your John Williams. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to take the kick from that guy. But Hans Zimmer just again, it wasn't another slap. Like the movie just slapped from beginning to end. I think every single part of the story was just tackled really well. Even like the
what were
love
some of your
angle.
favorite parts? Like which specifically? Because I have a few in mind.
Oh, it has to be when Paul's riding the desert worm for the first time.
Yeah, for sure.
That had to be one of the most epic scenes that I've ever seen in movies. Because where we went to go watch it, when he was riding the worm, the desert worm, and all the sound was just blasting his face for the entirety of the scene. I kid you not, the whole theater was just it was rumbling. It was just absolutely it was absolutely insane. I mean, I don't really. There's other scenes that I feel like were up to par on my end. The gladiatorial death match portrayed with Austin Butler,
right?
Which I think
the
guy did, and he did an amazing job. And the way the camera just pans out into like what their version of like the Coliseum is.
Right, those shots too, and the
those
black
shots
and white
were insane. Oh. The black and white. I was reading up on them. I was hearing that they were shot with like infrared, so it wasn't it. So this black and white shot wasn't so much created like post production, like these things typically are. Like they shot it with infrared, and that's how it came out. I thought that one of that visual, with all of the crowd, with the camera completely zoomed out, showing absolutely the entirety of the crowd. I thought also that was another scene that was just on par with the with Paul riding the desert worm.
The worm.
For the first time. And I think another thing on my end, just speaking on I think what goes in to kind of adapting a kind of story like this and bringing it to visual life is they did. I thought they did an incredible job being faithful to the books. But I think in this second film, I did like how it kind of emphasized the terror and the negativity of what you call a messianic figure.
Right.
Despite the fact that distinction isn't made until like the back half of the story. You don't see that until like the third, fourth book. We're still covering the first book, the events of the first book with these two films. And you're bringing that element into a part of the story where it wasn't there, originally. But I thought it fit incredibly well with I thought they fit it. I think they fit it incredibly well to the point where it felt like a central element in that part of the story. And on my end, the way, the way I've seen things, especially when you try to punt these certain things in advance, which when you're talking about that kind of fear, that kind of terror that people have, when you punt that over to when you change something like that, change the timeline for something that important, it's hard to pull off because it's such an important part when the time comes. So for them to bring that so early on, we're talking about bringing those things to the first book when there was no semblance of that in the first book. I was like, oh man, you bring a couple of things way into the front, wherein you could have an argument at first saying that it had no business being there. But again, them being able to do it so well that it feels like it was just naturally there from the beginning, I just think was another sweet spot that Dennis hit in the creation of the movie and adapting different parts of the story, different themes that come later onto the story, and putting them within the confines of the first book. So it's just, for me, top to bottom, it just felt like a complete movie. I don't know if there's any other way I could put that. I think that's probably like the simplest way I could put it.
Yeah.
It's just it feels like, unless if there's going to be other big time blockbusters coming out, I don't know, this movie.
The cool thing is that
next year's Oscars,
because hearing you talk about the books, right, and how obviously I can tell like you love the books, and then
they're great, yeah.
Right, seeing they're faithful to I think it's really cool that I don't know if there are other instances like this. I'm sure there are, but where we have a director making a movie where he himself is a huge fan of the works, of the material he's working with. Because I'm a big like comic guy, specifically like DC, Superman, Batman. And like when Zack Snyder made some of those movies, like Man of Steel, he had to read up on that kind of material, right? Which I don't know if he was like a big fan, but and he did his due diligence, like checking it out. But there's a clip on YouTube of Denis talking about scenes from the first movie, and he said, I had the book on set because I'd always refer to it. I'd always go. He was like, for lack of a better term, he's like, it was like our Bible on set because it's the material we would always go back to for reference. And he said, I first read it when I was 14, and he's like, got to be like I think like in his like 50s, I think now, something like that. But could you imagine being a director and you get to direct a movie based on like a work you loved as a kid? And
of course,
and it's insane, dude.
No, I think it's a big deal because, you hear about how drawn out the filming days are. You got people working hand and foot, like we're talking about like 15, 16, 17 hours a day. And I'm like, if you're directing a film where there's heavy investment on, and it's a film that you don't have a semblance of passion for, and like, dude, those 16-hour days are going to feel like 48-hour days.
Like hell, yeah.
So I think just by default, you need to again to be directing these big these big cinematic projects where you have studios pumping in $200-300 million a pop to kind of bring an epic story to life. It's like you're a director at the forefront of those movies. Like, how are you not going to be a fan of it? Right off the bat, like to begin with. But yeah, like you had mentioned, you could go back, to the original stories, to the original comics, and use that as a guide. But it's like there's no way you can be stale about it. I think you just have to be a fan, and I know that there's a lot of stories where it's like you're not going to be a geek about it. I get it. I completely understand that angle. But when you're talking about this category, where you're talking about like stories of superheroes, we're talking about Marvel, DC, when you're talking about Star Wars, when you're talking about now, series like Dune, these are things where, you have fandoms behind them. You have legions of people.
Oh, yeah.
That dedicate an obscene amount of time in learning the ins and outs of that particular story. So it's like, and you're investing a bunch of time. And yeah, you're getting a good buck out of it. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I don't think that could be the sole motivator. You have to be a fan of those things. And Dennis, right off the bat, speaking so passionately about the about what Dune as a story, meant to him. Legendary in their right state of mind, they're like, well, how are we not going to choose this guy to be on the show? Exactly. He's obviously a visionary. You put him up there, he's comparable to what Nolan does.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
It's the guy's a visionary. He loves it. He knows where. He knows when to exactly, cross his T's and dot his I's. It's like, how are you not going to put a guy like that loves the story so much and has the forethought to put together a story as complex as this and kind of get you to immerse yourself again into a story where so much of it is inner monologue. And that's, I think, where the difficulty is at. Now, obviously, it helps when you put together a dream team of actors into this into a movie like this. He's talking about Timothy Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin. I thought we weren't going to see anything, after Thanos was dealt with in Marvel. Again, Josh Brolin, having such a huge role in the Marvel universe. Obviously, his role isn't as big in the Dune series, but it's like, oh well, there he is again. It's like I've seen that guy before.
Right. Stellan Skarsgård too, like just
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. A big, huge fan of Javier Bardem. Guy that played Stilgar.
That guy.
Huge fan of him, of how he played
Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, there, No Country for Old Men. He got an Oscar. He got the Oscar for that one. How he portrayed Silva in the in the 007 film in Skyfall.
Right.
He was the perfect Bond. I thought he was the perfect Bond villain. I don't think there's been a better Bond villain since him. So he did that good. But Austin Butler as Fade, Florence Pugh making a bit of an appearance as well, and in another film where Pugh. I think not that she got the short end of the stick or anything.
I saw the meme. I know what you're talking about. Timothy, right?
It's like, yeah, I heard about this story where I think where Dennis had hit her up and had to profusely apologize to her because she didn't have a bigger role in the film, and it's the second time that she's a part of an incredible film. I mean, she had a role in Oppenheimer that she was widely praised for, and that film absolutely destroyed everybody in all of the awards, BAFTAs and Golden Globes, now in the Oscars a little while ago. But now she had also a role that was kind of juxtapose her role in Oppenheimer versus her role here as the daughter of the emperor, where she didn't have much to go off of, but she did really, really good, despite the little she
I was
was
gonna
given
say, because I was telling
work
my
with.
one of my buddies, like, because one of my friends, he loved the movies, but he hasn't read the books at all. He loved the movies, and so he liked and disliked certain things about the movie, and I was like, oh, that's not even in the book. It's kind of implied, like, this happened at some point,
Exactly.
but right. So, like, I was telling him, like, yeah, the princess only comes out in the book until the very end, like the throne room scene.
Exactly.
But I can bet you there were probably, obviously the emperor has to find out at some point about Paul. And so I'm thinking, you bet the princess is there listening, and so.
Well, yeah, and that again, and that goes back to moving things around in the movie versus the book. She came out in parts throughout the movie, whereas the book she didn't come out until like the end.
Yeah.
So
and I was fine with that.
But again, they did it.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to them doing it so well to the point where it's like, you know what? Yeah, I know this is different, but you guys just knocked it out of the park. It felt like it was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I go back to like Florence Pugh, her role as Jean, I think Jean Tatlock in Oppenheimer as Oppenheimer's love interest. But again, she didn't have like a big role. She wasn't there for long. And same thing with her role here. Mayan, you have again an A-list of actors just coming together, and I think that everybody just played their role to the best of their ability. That's every single actor was just like at full capacity, man, like full-blown effort with an all-star cast. Everybody having a unique individual role and them just fully embracing it. It just makes it seem like every character feels genuine, feels real. And I think those kinds of things you have to nail, especially when you're having these movies that are going on to like 3 hours.
Right. Oh, yeah.
If you feel like in these long movies, if you feel if the acting isn't good, it's you yourself, you're going to get bored quickly. And those 3 hours are going to be, they're just going to feel like forever.
Right.
But whereas you have a character that's, 100% in on the role, it's like, hey, this feels, this character feels real to me. Despite so many things going on, I'm following their story. I want to see what's going to happen, half an hour from now. I want to see how quickly their character develops at that point. So, I think personally, the crafting out of the story was just was just incredible. I feel like in on itself, it's a massive achievement bringing the story to the big screen and to see the response that it's getting both on box office, both in the box office and what the critics say, both professional critics and what audience, the general public is saying. I think that these films are have I don't want to say have single-handedly been responsible for bringing cinema back, but they're playing a huge role. It's good to see. Again, right now I know one of my brothers, they want to watch this, or my brother and a couple of friends, they want to watch it in IMAX. They want to watch it in 70 millimeter. They don't mind paying the $25. It's a little pricey for a movie ticket, but they'll pay it. And as frustrating as it is to not being able to get a good middle seat for like the next 2-3 weeks, I think is a very good thing, because it's showing me that, hey, you know what? It's like we're hitting a pretty decent age of movies where it's not just production quality, but just the level of storytelling, the ability to find the perfect balance in staying true to, for adapted screenplays, and staying true to what the original scripts are, what the original stories, the original comics, the original books are, and doing a good job at nitpicking at what to leave out and what to bring in, along with the changes you have to make to have it be a success. So again, with last year, there wasn't massive amount of hits, but for example, you had the dual threat of Barbie and Oppenheimer. Barbie ended up being a $1 billion movie, and Oppenheimer was almost $1 billion movie, but they did just fine. But again, talking about degree and quality as to how the movies are made in Oppenheimer's in Oppenheimer's ends, getting the story from the book American Prometheus, and really analyzing not so much what went towards building the bomb, but everything that happened after. Because a lot of people, myself included, I thought the story was going to end with the successful test of a bomb, and then speaking of maybe just speaking of obviously what had happened in World War II and so on and so on, and I thought it was going to be that was that. But then after they tested the bombs, it was like that was only like half the movie, and it went into it went into the government kind of sabotaging Oppenheimer's reputation, all for being honest about the weapon, the new era of weapons that they had ushered in. So between that and then this story coming out, this movie, and again struggling to get tickets at a good seat in an IMAX auditorium, the same way it was with Oppenheimer, where you just couldn't get a good middle seat for like a month. It was they were like sold out in advance. It was sold out so much so that for on Oppenheimer's end, I ended up watching a screening the Saturday, like literally the day after it came out at 6 a.m. They had a screening at the Chinese theater, and I was there at 6 a.m. There was no previews. The movie started at 6 a.m. at the Chinese theater, and I kid you not, dude, there wasn't an empty seat in that auditorium. That auditorium sits like 600 people.
For an experience like that,
so almost
where it's like it's packed, I'm assuming people that are in that theater, like they're really into the movie and they're excited.
Yeah.
Were they quiet during the parts where they were supposed to be quiet, and then cheering for the parts they should have cheered? Like, was that you know what I mean? Because there was one dude in the theater where I was like, and it was just one moment, but it was enough to trigger me, just where I was like on edge. This guy laughed at a part where I was like, dude, shut up. Like, no one wants to hear you laugh, bro. No one wants to hear that high-pitched squeal. Dude.
On that end, I felt like the audience reactions were where they were supposed to be. There wasn't people saying anything. There wasn't people laughing out of place or anything like that. People caught on to the little quirky political jokes and innuendos that the movie brought on. And I remember the audience, just going nuts when the movie ended. Massive round of applause. They just thought, again, they thought it was a complete production from top to bottom. It was a 3-hour movie. and it felt short. That's I don't think that's the easiest thing to do. And same thing with Dune. Again, I didn't go to a 6 a.m. screening. There were no 6 a.m. screenings this time around, but I went to an 11 o'clock, and that had previews and everything. I was out about like 2 a.m. We were we were out. We were walking down Hollywood Boulevard at that time. Everybody just scrambling back to their cars and just getting out of there. And again, an 11 o'clock showing, understanding full on that the movie is as long as it is.
Right.
And again, not an empty seat in the house either, dude. It's again, and we're going back to an agent cinema where these movies, these epic movies, just continue to get longer, and I think people just want to just craving more and more to watch these things, and it's a really good thing to see because not that long ago, all of the theaters were shut down and the movie business wasn't
right. They're like the cinema's dead, yeah.
And then not long ago we had the strikes. I don't know if it was like for the first time or the second time in history where we had both writers, actors, and producers go on strike pretty much at the same time. I know that SAG-AFTRA went on strike, and then WGA went on strike too, the Writers Guild of America. So I think, but cinema's, I think, too big of a business to just go away. It was always going to come back, but we didn't know exactly what it was going to come back as because to make these good movies, you need money, dude. there's absolutely no way around it. You need good money to make these movies, and especially with all of these scripts that circle around. Obviously, you see the ones that come up on the movies, and sometimes you hear about a bidding war on a script, and you hear about these giant giant movie studios fight over it. You hear about WB and Universal getting into a bidding war, which was the case for Oppenheimer, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just that difference here that Legendary had already retained the rights to make movies out of the books. But I'm pretty sure if Dennis had put a script out there for the second part of the movie, there would have been a massive bidding war in between the. So, but with so much uncertainty, when there's uncertainty, people are a little bit scared to put their money in because obviously they don't know if they're going to get their return on investment. They don't even know if they're going to break even anymore. So I think people were in a state of concern where like, hey, once we had the rebound from the pandemic, okay, and then we go from pandemic to the entirety of the cinema world going on strike, basically. And this strike lasted for a good minute. It wasn't that it was just for 1 weekend there. No, it lasted for a while, and there's lasting effects economically. You have small business that would provide props, and even for those little small businesses that would cater to your actors and stuff like that ended up going under. And again, people were scared. People were like, you know what? We don't know how cinema's going to come back. The cinema's it's always going to be around. It's always going to be around. It's never going away. But, how different is it going to be and so on and so on. People were a little bit concerned. And I know that Dune, the second part of Dune, was originally supposed to come out in November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the strike happened. It got pushed back. And I remember I tweeted, I'm like, I get it. But I'm like, what the hell, man? I've been waiting for this movie for years, dude. I was so bummed out, but
I was, yeah. And I understood, but I was like, I want the movie now, damn it. I was like, come on.
No, yeah, but I'm like, no, but in my mind now, I'm like, seeing how good it ended up being, I was like, okay, cool, man. He was definitely worth the wait. So for me, even if you haven't read the book, I mean, the one thing you do have to do before watching the movie, you have to watch the first part, obviously. even if you haven't read the book, you need to watch the first part because the second part literally piggybacks off of it. For a movie that's this good, you're not going to get the most out of it unless if you watch the first part. So I think from top to bottom, between the all-star cast that you ended up having, I loved personally the chemistry between Timothy and Zendaya. It's always good to see see epic stories like this that don't feel forced. It feels like those two just had incredibly good chemistry with each other, and even the love story, between Paul and Chani. It was good to see see that develop. We're talking about a film where you have to put so much into one film. Especially we're talking about wars. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the one thing that makes them dirty witch, which is the spice, and the wars that are fought over between the between House Atreides, between Atreides and Harkonnen. There's so much going on there. You feel like there's no space for kind of a love plot to develop, but it did, and it didn't feel corny. It felt like it belonged in there. It just goes back to the chemistry those two have and not forcing anything. Those two went really, really, really well together. And I think the funny part at closer to the end of the film where I was seeing these memes on Twitter where basically saying that Paul went full Nazi, full Hitler at the at the end of the film. That was hilarious because this whole time when he was having his visions, when he was having his dreams, how there would be essentially a holy war fought if he were to go south, and there would be so many people that were lying dead of famine, and he was 100% totally trying to avoid that, so it was pure in his intention not to go south. But the guy not only ends up going south, he kind of it's like it's funny because he's telling Chani that how he's always going to be there and so on and so forth. And then
I'll always love you as long as I breathe.
Yeah.
And then by the way, Princess.
There we go. And then on the flip, Prince is like, you're gonna be my wife, bro.
Dude.
I was like, wait, what?
That's the cool thing about what you were saying earlier, like people don't even realize that Paul is gonna end up being, they think he's the hero, right? And rightfully so. For part one, exactly. Oh yeah, he seems like a good guy. He's reluctant to be that guy in the second part where he's just like, I don't want to do this. I'm not listening to Al-Gaib, all that stuff. He's like, I'm not the chosen one, blah, blah, blah. I don't even believe it. And then, dude, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like when Daenerys went crazy in Game of Thrones at the end. Granted, ending was like it felt forced, right? Because like the
that felt forced though.
But this one, like it was.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? It's like he didn't want to be that guy, and then boom, he drinks like the blue liquid, right?
Water
the worm taste, right? As they called it.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm him. And that scene where he's going off in the siege and he's giving like his speech, mm-hmm. I was like, literally, this guy drank the Kool-Aid, and now they can't stop him, and they wanted him to do it, and now it's like careful what you wish for kind of thing. And I was like, you guys are gonna learn now, dude.
And that's that's what it is. I mean, he took a dagger from Fade, and he still managed to kill him off. And Fade was, it's a Harkonnen. He was the next big thing. They had that epic battle scene. They planted him as the next big thing because remember he had the gladiator scene, right. where where they essentially drugged the combatants. So that,
and they were Atreides. They were like
off
the
them
remaining
immediately.
Atreides, like
They were
officers.
Atreides, exactly. The remaining Atreides. And the last one wasn't.
And the Baron was like, all right, let's see what you got.
He ended up putting on a hell of a fight. But and also, I thought Butlers and you think that him personifying him personifying Fade would feel a little bit over the top, because his character, even if you looked at him the wrong way, the guy slit your throat.
Right.
I don't know how else to put it, but it just felt, I thought Austin's acting was so good that it was like, what, man? You probably deserve to get your throat slit by the guy. I felt like his acting was so good where that wasn't over that didn't feel like it was over the top. Like, and him, you had Fade and Paul have that epic fight at the end, near the end of the story, where Paul is able to kill him. And I think everybody, at that point, everybody realizes, they ain't no messing with this guy anymore.
Right.
It's mad kudos to Butler for 100% embracing the role of Fade.
Yeah. My buddy was sad that he died. He was like, I really like this character. I wanted more. And that was the part where I had to tell him, I was like, no, he dies in the book too. So it's like, that's like, I mean, like, I know it's kind of one of those things where
no, it's supposed to happen, and it's tough because the characters are so good. Some of the characters I don't feel like deserve the sudden death that they got, like Glossu, the guy that Dave Bautista played.
Yeah.
You were expecting this epic fight between him and Gurney.
Yeah,
and it was literally just 10 seconds. I was like, nah, they deserve more than that, bro. Come on.
Right.
Why just that?
Also,
but again, I think,
a guy that was written off completely in the second movie, because, there were some things where I was like, I totally get why they did it, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. One example being Paul's sister, right? Aliyah, I don't know how to say her name, but right. So she's not born in the movie, but in the book, she's kind of viewed as like an abomination because she's like 1 or 2 years old, but she can walk around talking to people. I understood that because I'm like, man, I don't know how this guy would have pulled off that character, like just visually, right? It would have been weird. Yeah. So I get it. Yeah. She remained unborn. She's probably going to be in the next movie, right? Whatever. But I was really hoping to see Thufir Hawat, because he appeared in the throne room scene, like he's mentioned throughout the book. So I was waiting for him, but I was like, they completely and again, it's not like super significant, but I was like, okay, but I really wanted to see him at the end.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not 100% important. There's things that are a lot more important to the film. It just, when you do stuff like that, it makes it feel like you were running out of film. That's what it feels. It feels like you were running out of film, and it's a bit underwhelming to the point where they kind of become just an afterthought.
Right. Same thing with with Paul's kid, with like Paul's son, which people don't even know about, and I'm like, no, they had a son. Like he had a son in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And he dies in the battle. He's only mentioned in the book. There's no scenes of him in the book.
No, absolutely no.
And I was telling my buddy, I was like, that's why it makes it a little different when
it does.
It would have been nice to get a mention in the movie, maybe, because there would have been more weight added when he tells Chani like, I'll love you no matter what, right? And then he goes and takes the princess, whatever. It would have been like, bro, they had a kid together, But again,
and I think.
I was willing to take that trade off because of the other
Um,
scenes they added that were implied, like with the princess and stuff. So I
yeah,
was like, okay,
exactly.
I'll take it. You know?
And I think that's what it comes down to. Again, faithfulness to the story
Mm-hmm.
and deciding what you're not going to do, because
Yeah.
adapting films like that come from books. Same thing. You go to Harry Potter. You could go to Lord of the Rings. You cannot do a tit for tat 100% on
Right.
an
Right.
epic story like that. It's just impossible. Um, and part of it because it's just going to feel drawn out to the point where you're just going to lose people, and that's kind of
Yeah.
not what you don't want to do, especially if you're in the movie business. I mean, you're just like with any business at all, you're kind of in it to make money.
Right.
And if you draw it out too much, you're going to start losing money. And you just have to strike that a good balance where you're going to have your people that are hardcore invested into it, know exactly what's going on, exactly what was let out, and they're going to give you a whole bunch of crap one way or another. And then you have the people that aren't as invested in it, that maybe haven't even read the books, but they have an interest in the movie because it looks that good. They don't understand what's been removed. They're just seeing the story play out in front of them for the first time, and they like it. So again, it's like the central element or the central theme when it comes to these films. Again, faithfulness to the story. Like, what are you gonna do? And I think each move with stories like this has to be, in a sense, tactical. You have to tactical, and sometimes you just have to go with your gut.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Dennis's maybe not so much a specialty, but he was able to hit. For the most part, he was able to hit the right notes
Right.
on what to bring in, what to leave out, what to emphasize, what to give a smaller part to, what to minimize a little bit more.
Yeah.
And just tapping into the main elements of the story, which I think was again, I thought it was incredibly well done.
Have you seen it a second time yet? Vic?
Technical difficulties.
Dang. German, there you have it. I don't know how you could not want to watch the movies after hearing us talk about it, bro. I'm just saying. So
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Dude. How does it feel being on that end? Like,
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
because that's kind of how I felt like when you and Gary were talking basketball the other night.
Right.
I was just there like, oh, okay, like,
Although that's different though. Sports is different.
Well, because I know like some of the things you guys are talking about, but then there's also terminology that you and Gary use where I'm just like, I kind of know what that means, but
you could do like a quick like Google search,
right?
And you're set. Like this, you can't like Google this.
Yeah,
they're trying to protect the movie. They're trying to get you to watch the movie.
Right.
So it's not as simple,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we got to get Gary back on, dude. But I have bad news. Actually, double whammy bad news.
Okay.
I don't think I'm sure you saw it because you probably watched the game, but Wemby didn't play the other night.
I know that sucks.
Like he was because I saw him today. I saw Gary today, and he's like, both Wemby and Steph Curry didn't play. What the hell? Like, yeah. And then on top of that,
he messed up his knee. No,
dude, he messed up his knee. I was like, oh my gosh. So
yeah,
but.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know why I cut off on my.
No worries, you're good. You drank the water of life. You're back.
Yeah, it looks like it. And I had I was convulsing and everything.
You were convulsing, dude.
So no, like I was saying, I was just saying to what the critics were saying. I think Rotten Tomatoes. I think right now they have it like 93%. The audience at 95. So it's all around. People. There's a consensus, the overwhelming consensus that this film that Dennis was able to hit all of the sweet spots on.
I can't wait to watch it again, dude.
I'm I think next Monday I'm gonna go watch it again, and like it's the kind of movie. I think for me, it's like, geez, man, if it's like if you're in LA and you could watch at IMAX 70 millimeter, it's like, for the love of God, watching that format, dude. Those are movies that are built for that.
I wish I could.
Biggest
I'm not
screen.
close by.
Yeah,
if only I had someone that could watch it on my behalf, like German, wink, wink.
Oh goodness, German.
I just
give it a try, man.
I watched the first one, and I'm not into the fantasy stuff. It's just not for me. I get lost. I
know it's not for everybody.
I can't keep up with everything that's happening. I know people try to like, especially I don't know if it's like specifically with me because I don't like fantasy, but I like enjoyed Game of Thrones. That anytime there's a fantasy related thing, it's like, oh, it's like Game of Thrones. And it's like, well, is it like Game of Thrones? Or are you just saying that because there's like things that are not real in it?
You could say like in a very, very, very general sense. In a very general sense. But they're all their unique stories. Yeah, it's
well, not does it get old. Like, it just becomes very like, well, it's not true. It's like if there's like a series, like a very serious family show, and they're like, oh, it's like Succession. It's like, well, is it like Succession? Or are you just saying that because there's a family and they don't like each
Succession,
other?
Another great show.
Succession is amazing.
Hold on.
I'll watch it when it comes on like the streamer.
It is because
I watched the first
especially
one.
Look, for me, like I was saying in the beginning, especially if you've seen the first one and you thought that you weren't super into it, but I just feel like the second one just gets rid of all the complaints of the first one. For me, it was that good. Any concern that you had about the first one, I felt too drawn out. There wasn't much going on. I got lost in the characters, so on and so forth. Completely understandable. I completely get it. But the second one, again, it just gets rid of all of that. It's like, dang, then you see how it begins to come full circle at the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, obviously, it's obvious that there has to be another one. But because there was so much more from top to bottom on here, it kind of helps you to bring the first one into a little bit more of a perspective and have an understanding why there was such an emphasis on character development, even though it was pretty difficult to pull off. Why there wasn't as much going on in the first one versus the second one. The second one's it's just action scene. It's fighting. It's fighting with blades. And you have epic worms. You have the sandworms getting involved in war now, which was pretty fun to watch too. You also see how it is that the sandworms come to life. they do show that. So another little tidbit that's it's like, oh, so that's where those sandworms come from. Okay, cool. I don't feel like I needed to know that, but I was like, I thought that was a pretty cool touch.
The little baby worm.
Yeah, the little baby worm.
That thing's scary. It gave me the heebie-jeebies, bro.
Yeah, it was creepy, man. But it was well done. It was like I wasn't expecting them to show how it is that it's done.
Yeah, I kind of like the scene when it died in the water. Like I was like, good, kill that thing. Yes, please.
It's like, bro, that was going to be the next one. I was going to bail everybody out in the next one, bro. One note I have to bring up though. Oh my goodness. Twitter. Our beloved scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
If you saw the things, he was like, "How?" Kind of basically saying, "There's no physical. It's impossible for a worm to burrow like that around the sand, or it's impossible to thump sand to get sound."
Right.
Sand. I'm like, with all due respect, bro, like, why? No, it's he was talking. Maybe he just
Don't be
wanted
that
to
guy.
elicit a response. But exactly, it's like
let me enjoy
what?
lightsabers and all this stuff. Just come on, bro.
It's like why are you trying to be that guy, bro? You're not that guy, bro. That's not you. I'm sorry, I had to bring it up. I thought that was hilarious. When I was seeing it, I was like, "What is he getting involved for, man? Just enjoy the cinema, bro."
It's like, Neil, this book was also written in the '60s. Let him be. Let him
exactly, bro. Just let us be, man. Come on, let us just enjoy the movie. But no, I had to bring it up. I thought that was hilarious. And everybody's bashing on him on Twitter.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to Dune doesn't have the following that the other epic, sci-fi series has. They don't have the following that Star Wars has. They don't have the following that Star Trek has. They don't have the following that the Lord of the Rings has. Obviously, not the following that Game of Thrones has. But in this pair of movies, they've just been able to do such a good job, bringing those books,
world building, dude,
to life. And Dune, the series, it feels like it's getting its due, like finally. But it's always been that series that's been kind of flying under the radar a little bit, and now it's like out to the front for the whole world to see.
Especially with the bad one in the '80s that came out, where it was like,
exactly. The adaptation was just like, we're just gonna abandon that. But again, because movie making has gotten so much better, as time has gone by, and it just continues to get better and better, you're able to pull these things off. Oh. So there's a reason why it didn't work back then, and there's a reason why it's working really, really, really well right now. That's the movies, again, easy front runner for next year's Academy Awards and next year's BAFTAs, Golden Globes, whatever you want to call it. It's again another one of those movies that was just, for me, was a complete movie from the beginning up until the end. You were just drawn into to the story, the continuance of the character development combined with a lot more activity. I think really did bring this movie to full bloom. And now people are like, you didn't see that same response from the first Dune so much, where it's like there was this clamoring, oh, I can't wait to see part 2, and so on and so forth. Now you're seeing a lot more of like, hey, it's like, hey, you need to bring us part 3, bro. And but obviously, we know that's years away, and we're gonna have to wait a good minute for that, which is a bummer. But again, all in its time. But again, it's definitely a movie that I personally recommend. Even if I haven't read the books, I feel like I would have enjoyed it as much as I did, with having read the books. I think the movies were just that well done. And off of the first one, I know, German, you had mentioned not into so much into like sci-fi. It all got good stuff. I completely understand it's not for everybody. I get it. But a lot of my friends not into it either, and much like yourself, you had seen the first one, you couldn't really get into it, but they saw the second one, and again, they're starting to see it come full circle, and they thought that the second movie was just it was one of those epic films. So again, if you do have the chance to watch it in a nice auditorium, I'd watch it in a nice auditorium, because that's what that movie was made for. Definitely with the production quality, with watching it with a very good sound system, you're gonna get the most out of a movie like that. especially again that scene where Paul first rides the desert worm,
The Shai
all the
Hulud.
sand blasting and everything, and just feeling, the theater just rumble, with everything that was going on in that scene. I thought it was epic. Everybody in that auditorium, I'm pretty sure, felt the same way. I'm pretty sure they'll bring up, the fact that was probably their favorite scene as well. It's just really, 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 really well done, man. There's not much you could put on top of all of the shenanigans I've already said. I think again, it's a movie that's 100% worth watching. That I think it's part of this trend that are bringing these. It feels like cinema is coming back to kind of like a golden age, man. The production quality, bringing up these stories from back then and bringing them into the 21st century, and doing such a good job at it all around, encapsulating all the characters, putting together incredible rosters of actors and actresses to each play their part. You look for these movies to hit certain spots in character and in plot development, and the second part of Dune definitely does that better than the first one for sure, but it's definitely there. Definitely worth a watch if you have a little bit of time. I don't know if Tito wanted to add anything on top of that.
I just wanted to say, like, okay, I do this a bunch, but it's the era we live in. But memes have become a great part of our culture.
Fabric of society, bro.
Yes. And so I was laughing because, dude, the scene in the throne room at the end when like the emperor walks in with his entourage, the Sardaukar, right?
Yeah.
And the Reverend Mother, and then Lady Jessica is with the Fremen, and she she looks at the Reverend Mother, right? And the vibe that gave me is like that stupid video of Tom Brady in the courtroom, like waiting to see who's coming in.
Oh,
He's grinning. He's
I remember that,
dude.
Yeah,
it was the same vibe. I was like, right here. Like, I was like, dude, that alone, I laughed in the theater out loud, and I was like, dude, perfect. I love that. I have that meme like on file in my head in my little file cabinet right here.
Oh gosh, I don't blame you, dude.
That was. And then I also really dug when Paul yelled at he was the voice on the Reverend Mother.
He was the voice. Yes,
dude,
exactly. And just essentially sat her rear end to the floor.
The fear.
That was another little bit of an epic scene. As short as it was, you're like, oh man, it came out.
Yeah. Also, when Stilgar when he was telling Paul like to he's like, I don't care if you believe. He's like, I believe, and I felt that. I was like, oh, Stilgar. But dude, again, Javier Bardem, dude, he's amazing. No, also, the part when he was telling the Fremen, they're like, see, he's being humble, so he must be the chosen one. The chosen one would act like this, and I'm like, dude, that's.
I was like, bro, that's a stretch.
It reminded me of like my dad a little bit, just the way he was saying it. I was like, this guy, dude, he's out here. It was funny, dude. So,
oh my gosh, man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm encouraging people to read the books. Like I told my
it's worth a good read.
Yeah, like get the books, read the books, please. So,
I think that'll just elevate the viewing experience of
right
films. But again,
because now I'm gonna reread the book and then like rewatch part 1 and so dude. Take my money, and my time. Please.
I'll take my money and my time. There we go.
So
yeah, no, it's definitely worth you have the time to read into it a little bit from time to time. Definitely worth doing. So yeah, no, like you were saying, those little bits of the movie, it was just Oh goodness gracious, man! It all just fit really well.
Yeah.
And all the memes that came out of Stilgar, he's like, "Hey,
Yes,
Paul takes
dude.
a piss. Oh, he's the chosen one."
I
those are hilarious.
yeah. I can't wait because so I haven't read Dune Messiah, but there's a significant time jump. It's like 10 or 15 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something around those lines. Yeah.
So I'm ready to go. I have Dune Messiah already. I started reading it yesterday. So
okay, good. No,
sign me up.
No,
please.
Yeah, seriously. And again, there's so much going on. It is a good idea to read the books. But if you watch the first one and if you were at least able to retain a little bit of it, or on my end, what I did, I kid you not, I timed it to where I watched the first one again. And when the first one was done, it was time to go to watch the second one. That way it could be fresh in my mind. Yeah. Because I'm like, yeah, I've heard the story, but I need to watch it again. I need to kind of visualize everything again because, I didn't get a chance to see the first film. I didn't see the first film in theaters. I saw it during the pandemic. I saw it on streaming. It was on HBO Max. And obviously, it's not the full viewing experience, but I was able to retain. I felt like a good amount, kind of differentiating what went on in the movie versus the books. And again, I timed it to where I saw the first one again the day of, and when it was done, it was time to go see the second one. So it felt like really fresh. The key elements that were changed felt fresh in my mind, and it kind of allows you to also to kind of keep an eye out as to what things are going to be different in the second film, because you really don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to be different. You don't know what they're going to retain. They're sure that the first one is going to give you an idea, especially if they're going to piggyback off the first one. But they could throw you a curveball out of nowhere. It's like, I didn't think they were going to retain this, or vice versa. I didn't think they were going to leave this out.
Right.
So again, it enables you to just keep an eye on those things. By the time the end of the movie is like, hey, they didn't mention this, or hey, they brought this up, where I felt like something else should be brought up. And same goes for movies that have been adapted for different series too. It's the exact same concept. So yeah, man, seriously, can't recommend it enough. Again, there's a ginormous consensus of audience members, of movie critics that feel the exact same way. And I see when you have an overwhelming majority of people that just feel the same way about something, it's like, might as well take a look. I think it's worth taking a shot at it. But it's just, fantasy is just one of those things where it's just not for everybody. But if you do like it, you're in for a treat for sure.
Yeah,
no question about it. But it was great, man. I loved it. I do plan on watching it again.
German. If I had to choose, whether you like dogs or sci-fi, I don't know what I'd choose. But I wish I could choose at least one of them for you to like. So
you'd be out of luck for both. So
it's reality.
Tough,
don't hold your breath.
I'm just saying, I wish I could choose at least one. I need at least one, please. Dude.
No, maybe an eternity.
Okay, so I gotta ask, what is it about dogs that rub you the wrong way?
I just don't like. I'm just not an animal person. It's not dogs specifically.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, it's not 100% for everybody either.
I just think they're dirty and they're annoying and they're just like.
Wait,
just
tell me about Jack. Tell me about Jack, dude. Because hold on, because my brother told me about you and Jack. I don't know, maybe he says there were times where he would be at Peter's house with you and Peter, and he was like, dude, he's like, he loved that dog. What do you mean he doesn't like dogs? he was surprised to hear that.
I had
he was
look,
like he
I
he
had
loved Jack.
I
Like,
had space for one dog, and I was, Jack was as low maintenance of a dog as you can have. He didn't bark. He just
wasn't too
was
clingy. Like,
no, he just and he wasn't active. He wasn't running around. He wasn't annoying. He just would he would just sit there, and you just would touch him, and he wouldn't lick your hand, and it was fine. He was
dang,
like almost not a dog the way he behaved, obviously, because everything I'm describing is what a normal functional
Yeah.
dog does. But yeah, he
he was
just
kind of like Kevin's dog in the office, where they like
yeah,
just
kind
plays
of.
there.
Oh,
Yeah,
he just
yeah.
sit there. Everybody
Yeah.
thought it was dead.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I'd never heard him bark. And if I did, I can't remember him barking.
Dang.
Like, if you walked in through the door, he wasn't going crazy. Like, and he just would sit next to you, and he wouldn't move, and he wouldn't. I just hate the barking. I hate the licking. I hate it. And Jack did neither of those things, and therefore I was like, you know what? I like this dog.
Yeah, this dog is
Dang. Okay. All right.
this dog
Okay.
suits me.
Dang.
So if you can find me a dog that doesn't bark, doesn't lick, doesn't run
Yeah,
around,
it's
just
tough.
sits there,
That's-
then
yeah.
I'll like that dog. But
All right.
A little
All right.
difficult
So,
to do.
sci-fi it is. All right. Well, we'll go watch. But
well, look, I like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is sci-fi-ish. It's
Yeah.
it's more fantasy than sci-fi, I guess, but it's in that vicinity. It just has to have a semblance of like reality, if that makes sense. Like Game of Thrones, there's fantasy, but the bulk of it, the weight of it is
Yeah, the book
power.
is a whole bunch of
It's power
humans.
struggle. It's
Exactly, power
it's all
struggle.
that where and it's kingdom against kingdom. Where if it's like Star Wars, the whole thing is, I guess, the morality, the good and evil, and just like but it gets so played out with the fantasy stuff that I'm like, I just can't take serious that you're fighting with lightsabers and you're talking about this force, and I just you lose me. But if it's Game of Thrones and two kings are talking about it's my kingdom, it's going to be my throne, I can get into that. That makes sense to me. Like, that's history. Historically, that makes sense. Like, people fought for kingdoms, and I'm all in. And you had a dragon. All right, cool. Like, we can
dragon
imagine.
Or two. You add
hey,
brutal
honestly,
torture
Dune's
and
not too
execution
far
methods.
off from what you're talking about. Kind of like there, because there's an emperor, and then there are houses that like they serve the emperor, and there's power struggles between the houses, and then
Look, Dune, I wasn't turned off to Dune because of the fantasy. I was turned off to Dune. It was just too slow. It was just like,
okay, no, for sure.
It was just like, okay, can we like,
and that's the main complaint of the
can we
first movie.
Can we go like, okay, we get it. You have spices, we get it, we understand it.
It's like
what's
I need some
happening?
spice right now, bro.
And so
war.
I think you like Dune Part 2, bro.
Okay, yeah, we'll find out. But I'm not gonna go to the theater. I'll tell you that. I'll watch it in streaming.
That's
come
racist.
on, man.
No, I mean, if you're gonna wait for it to come out on streaming, then no, I mean the movie overall. I mean, even on a streaming platform, you're gonna see that it was a pretty well done film, and again, so good to the point where it's going to remove the complaints of the first one. That's where I believe that the film did the best job and just getting rid of all of that.
I'll tell you what, David. If you're in town and the movie's still in the theaters, I'll go watch it with you.
There you go. Proposition.
Don't threaten me with a good time, bro.
That's not a threat. That's not a threat.
No, but I'm joking. But like, you know what I mean? Like, dude,
if you come to town and the movie's here and the movie's still in theaters, I'll go watch it with you.
There you go. That's fair. You're gonna have to swing by, Tito. You're screwed.
I'm in the hot seat now, dude. Dang. All right.
Ball's in your court.
But
Ball's in your court.
Okay.
Hey, I'll watch it. I'll go watch it.
No, all right. I'm just, all right, cool. All right, dude. Well, Vic, thank you for coming on, bro.
No, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys extending the invite and talk a little bit of sports and
any quick final thoughts, real quick, before we end this episode.
Oh no, I said my piece, bro. I think at this point you have to come back into town. I think you're screwed.
Dang. No, you're right. I think you're right. German?
Yeah, I think that's as much as I could put on top of that.
My final thought is I'm glad Oppenheimer did big today.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oppenheimer was an amazing movie. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy for Cillian because he's an amazing actor. So yeah, I'm happy for Oppenheimer because when I went to the theater, I was like everything Victor said about Oppenheimer. I was like, yes, I agree because it was a masterpiece.
Yeah,
and to see it just kind of win big at the Oscars was pretty incredible.
Nice.
It was good. It felt like all of the wins. It like for obviously the Oscars took place a couple of hours ago, and on my end, because I wanted to see Oppenheimer just destroy everybody. That's why I watched it. I typically don't watch the Oscars. For the most part, like when it comes to the Oscars, I typically just catch like the back end when it's like actress of the year and film of the year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But this time I made it a point to watch the whole thing. So I sat through it. Jimmy Kimmel's a terrible host, but you just deal with it.
Yeah, he's awful.
I think John Cena would have done a better job hosting. If you ask me. No, but it was one of those for me. It was one of those Academy Awards where every time Oppenheimer won, like it was absolutely unquestionable. Like no doubt in your mind, it's like of course these guys were going to take it. There's no, these guys got robbed. Not when they won.
Right.
No, 100% deserved. And Christopher Nolan getting his Oscar, and like I said, Cillian getting his Oscar. Yeah. Kind of bummed out that Emily Blunt didn't get one, but I completely understood why. Like in her category, competition was insanely good.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer wasn't going to win all of them either. Right. And again, I talked about spoke on Hans Zimmer and how good he did the score for Dune. And he's typically Nolan's go-to guy to write the scores for his movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Although Oppenheimer kind of like the exception. He went with the Swedish guy with Ludwig. The guy with the long hair. I thought, just touch on this quickly. I thought the music, the score on Oppenheimer was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
Little montages where they had the scenes, where Oppenheimer was trying to like draw inspiration back when he was in Europe learning.
Right.
I thought they were incredibly well done. So I think all in all, Oppenheimer also another one of those movies where it's just a complete movie from top to bottom, from beginning to end. A lot of people are like, a bunch of people talking, and I was like, bro, come on, no.
Grow up.
No, we're not even going to get into that, man. I'm not going to dignify that with a response. Again, from top to bottom, from the music, from the acting, from the cinematography, which is all they won awards for.
Right.
It was, again, a lot of fun watching Downey Jr. get his Oscar as well. He was another big part of the movie, playing Strauss.
Right.
He did an incredible job. She's a guy that would go from like Iron Man, the character that he was with Iron Man, just stuck up billionaire.
Yeah.
Compared to the role that he had with Oppenheimer, it was just like black and white, dude.
Yeah.
He did Jeez, man. It was just, and I think it goes to now you begin to talk about Downey Jr. as not a guy with like just one identity, which is Iron Man, obviously,
Right.
but a guy who's versatile in his ability to act.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on full display in Oppenheimer. I thought that Nolan, again, another, just like Dennis hit the sweet spots with Dune 2, Nolan hit all of the sweet spots with Oppenheimer in choosing the appropriate cast and everything. Again, top to bottom music. I just can't say enough about that film. It was the best film. And a lot of people were like, "Well, we're gonna have to compete with Barbie for Best Picture." I'm like, "No, it's not. They're not even in the same tier, bro."
Yeah.
Like Barbie, the only thing Barbie had for it was obviously
the hype.
It was immensely popular. It was the most popular movie of the year. It made the most money out of the year. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's an achievement in on itself.
Right.
Because not everybody can brag about having the most viewed movie. There's some bragging rights to that. But, that you're going to compare it, from a character plot, development standpoint, the importance of the film, the significance behind the film, the purpose of what they were doing. Like, you guys, we're in different dimensions, bro. This is not going to be any competition. Oppenheimer's going to sweep, most, and what did it end up taking? Probably ended up taking like 80% of the awards they were nominated for. So again, like just echoing what you were saying, really, really good to see that Cillian got his due. Nolan got his due.
Mm-hmm.
Downey Jr. got his due.
Yeah.
Downey Jr. showing his versatility and his ability to act.
Yeah.
Cinematography, score, everything. It all came back full circle for those guys, because again, they dominated in all of the other award shows. In the BAFTAs, they dominated in the Golden Globes. They just ripped everybody a new one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is it going to be any different for the Oscars? No, it was. At every award they won, there was no semblance of, no, these guys should have won in this category over Oppenheimer.
Right.
Absolutely none of that. So that just goes to show you, when it's like that, it's like, well, you made that good of a movie. There's not a lot of movies where you could say, because in a lot of other movies, you always hear, no, this movie should have won over that one, and so on.
This one was a monster movie, and it was treated as like, and it won like one. So that was really good to see. And shout out to Davine Joy Randolph, who won Best Supporting Actress for The Holdovers. The Holdovers.
Oh yeah,
that's a really good movie. You guys should watch that. It's on Peacock.
No, that was absolutely.
That's a great movie.
Honestly, another tidbit, I thought that Lily Gladstone got robbed. That's one category I did think that as good as Emma Stone was, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon absolutely deserved Best Actress.
I agree.
And I agree. You saw Emma Stone's reaction when they called her name. She knew also that she wasn't expecting to get that. Yeah. Everybody thought that Lily was going to get it.
Yeah,
Lily but it happens. I mean, what are you going to do? But yeah, no, good. No, excellent point in bringing that up with a lot of people that definitely got their due today.
Yeah.
So good night for movies. Again, I'm not typically into the Oscars or awards or whatnot, but it's like Oppenheimer was that good. I'm like, I gotta see them destroy everybody.
Yeah,
that's what I want to watch it for. But
David, final
good
thought?
Stuff overall.
Yeah.
Final thought. Let's see.
Hit me.
I saw a tweet, since we brought up Cillian Murphy. I saw a tweet where someone was like, someone suggested making Cillian Murphy like the next James Bond.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And what's the word? Since people wanted to be trendy, they were like, yeah, he'd be great. I'm sure he'd knock it out of the park. I'm sure he would. But one, if we're getting a new James Bond, like Cillian's an older gentleman, right? Not old, but late 40s, maybe, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, and then I was like, make Killian a James Bond villain. I would see that. That would be like, because I loved him as Scarecrow in the Batman, like the Dark Knight trilogy. But I'm like, let's get a young James Bond and let's make Killian a villain. Take my money. I'll watch that. That's it. That's all I got. So
there you go.
That's true. I think he'd make a better Bond villain than an actual Bond.
Yeah.
But I know it's a very good point.
Yeah.
Well brought up.
All right, y'all. It's been.
All right, fellas. It was a pleasure again. Thanks for having me. I'll get back on here soon whenever you guys want to have me.
Anytime.
And yeah, that'll be that. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll talk soon.
We will. Thank you.
That's the pod. We are brought to you by, as always, Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self-leveling underlays. They service California, and they speak Spanish. You can follow them, Triumph_coatings on Instagram, and you get a 10% off if you use the promo code ArrowsUp. You can also reach them on Gmail, triumphprotectivecoatings@gmail.com. That's the podcast. Thank you to Victor. Thank you to David. Thank you to Angel for the music. You can listen to all our podcasts anywhere you get your pods. Arrows Up Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram, Arrows Up Podcast, and I will talk to you again on Tuesday. Hopefully with Harry. Hopefully. Keep getting scheduling conflicts with him, but hopefully Tuesday. But if not, with Harry, I'll do an NBA, some MLB on Tuesday for you. So thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you then. Let's go Lakers. The Lakers had a big win today. Let's go Lakers.